Hello and welcome to the Coaching Crowd podcast with me, Jo Wheatley, and my friend and co-host Zoe Hawkins.
Hi, everybody. We're here today with a episode on how to coach beliefs, and we've had lots of feedback at our how to coaching episodes. We wanted to bring you another one of those, and we've done a lot on emotions, which are one of the core pillars of coaching, but we haven't done so much throughout this podcast on beliefs. And here we are at episode 160 odd, and we've only ever done 2 episodes on beliefs. So we thought it was time that we gave a little bit more attention to this really important pillar of coaching around beliefs. So maybe we should start with just what are beliefs for those people who are less familiar with this territory.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people think about beliefs, they experience beliefs as facts in life. So you'll hear people say things like, I can't speak in front of an audience, or I I can't I can't travel on my own. I can't apply for this job because, and they would think about that as being a fact, a reality. Through a coaching lens, we help clients to explore the potential of that being a belief. And the thing with beliefs is that they can change. They can naturally change through life as we develop increased knowledge or have more experience of life. We know that beliefs can change abruptly when people have traumatic experiences or at least significant emotional experiences. So we can think about them as muscles, and it's kind of like the more attention we put on them, the more we tend to believe them. So working with clients in coaching is really helping them with their mindset. So they're like a filter for our experiences in life.
Yeah, and we can look at beliefs in 3 lenses. You can look at beliefs through what a person thinks they're able to do. You can have a look at beliefs through what somebody thinks is possible to do. And you can have a look at a lens of beliefs around whether somebody thinks they have the worth and value or are deserving of that in some way. And beliefs in all 3 of those categories are present in everybody. So we want to normalize this piece around beliefs. People will all hold empowering beliefs, and empowering beliefs are things that enable them to do things well or to experience things, I guess, in a positive mindset. And then there are beliefs which are limiting. And these are the things that can become obstacles when somebody is trying to achieve something. And as Joe was describing there, clients or coachees will experience these things as facts. Often, they also don't recognize that beliefs are in the way. So, if you think back through your own life around something that you thought or believed wasn't once possible but is, at that point in time when you held that belief, you weren't aware that it was there. You weren't aware that it was a belief. And so in coaching, one of the most important things around how you coach beliefs are first is to really support your client in identifying what is there, what is empowering for them, and what is limiting for them, because you can't change what you can't see in coaching. So the role of a coach is to really help your client to see what is in their way that is currently hidden and getting in their way from them being able to make progress.
Well, and you shared a belief there of yours, didn't you, that you can't coach what you can't see. Like that isn't a fact. That is a belief that you have.
You can't change what you can't see.
Sorry, you can't change what you can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a belief, but when we listen to how people talk about things and we talk about it as facts, so other beliefs that people can have and hold through their lives unconsciously, as you were saying. So like in coaching, what we're doing really with beliefs is we are bringing them from the unconscious, operating as that software in the back of our decision making, or forming our decision making, and bringing them into our conscious and working out, like, is this going to serve me well and help me to achieve my goal, or is this actually an outdated belief that is hindering me and holding me back? And like I knew something was getting in the way, but I didn't know what it was. And coaching can help them to like figure out what it is and then work out with the coach what they want to do and how they can address that. So things that can come up, or beliefs that people kind of go through their lives with, can be things like, I need to do well at school in order to do well in life. Like, has anybody ever actually said that to somebody, to an individual? Maybe not, but even in society, in different cultures, we tend to hold different beliefs that inform often how we feel about ourselves and our experiences and our lives. We know when people come to our coaching qualifications, they are bringing beliefs with them about their early educational experiences and what that means for how they're going to be able to complete the assignments or the assessed elements of the program. And part of the work that we do with them, and sometimes in the practices in the sessions, is about helping them to overcome what are outdated beliefs and actually come up into the reality where they have the support and the knowledge and they can achieve those things. But let's talk about some other beliefs that come up in coaching.
Well, they're multi-layered, I think, beliefs in coaching. And so, you may be working with somebody that says like, "Oh, I'm not a very good leader." You know, there may be some truth in that, but there's also likely to be some belief in that. And the thing with working with beliefs is you can't ignore the fact that there will be reality in these things, because when you play out a belief, it becomes your reality. So
Mm.
let's say layer one is like, oh, I'm not a very good leader. That's, there's an element of a belief in there. A layer two might be why, so I'm not a very good leader because I have never been good with people. Okay, so there's another belief there around never being good with people. But if you keep going down the layers, what you're likely to get to are some really common beliefs that all humans share on some level. One of the common ones that comes up in coaching is I'm not good enough. Like often, so many beliefs come down to I'm not good enough in some way or another. And I think the thing that is important is normalizing that. Like, that's okay. It's okay to believe that you're not good enough. How does that serve you? And how do you break that down? Because beliefs are also generalizations. So you might be thinking, I'm not good enough, but in all aspects of life is kind of at your core. But when you think about, I'm not good at, perhaps it was about academic work, but you might have been great at sport, but you've applied this blanket belief. So through coaching, you're able to help people to break down, look, what's real and what's not real? What's a story? And what would you like to believe instead? And the thing is, when you start to look at what you believe instead, you start to look at evidence that that belief is true. So taking that I'm not a very good leader. If this client wanted to believe that they could grow and develop into a great leader, which is an empowering belief, if you say, okay, let's go and look for some evidence that that's true, they might say, oh, well, I actually got some feedback from one of my team last week that I've really helped them overcome this problem that they had. Okay, brilliant. What other evidence do you have? Well, if I think back 2 years ago, I wasn't able to, hold very effective team meetings, whereas now my team meetings are much more effective. Brilliant. Because what you do when you look through the lens of an empowering belief is you start to see things that match that rather than just looking at evidence of the belief that is limiting you. So it really widens your perspective.
There's so many ways you can go with like the example you're sharing there about a good leader, because you could also explore with the coachee around what are your beliefs about what a good leader is. And it might be when they're breaking down the area that they feel that they are not effective in, even adding the word yet can be transformational. So it brings in that idea of possibility that I can get there. And then it's about working out what's in that bridge. But let's say the example is, that the person says, I'm not very good at delegating. Well, what are the beliefs that are underpinning or creating the belief that they're not good at delegating? So you can start to as you were saying, so like go down through the layers until, and you will notice with the client when they get to what we might describe as like the root or the core belief that really is the area where you're probably best spent in terms of your time together in coaching, because it's going to be the thing that really creates the shift for clients in a session. Discovering what that is can be a revelation, and often like that's the point. You're not going to go much further often in a session, that initial, not an initial session, but when you get to that point in the coaching. And I think often clients feel like they couldn't have got there on their own. It's a different type of conversation to the conversation they have in their own mind. And that's where the value of coaching is. But you've got to have a deep level of psychological safety in the relationship to be able to for the coachee to let themselves really get, explore in a very open way around the possibilities. And I think as a coach, it can be really helpful to foster that exploration, the curiosity, so that the coachee is reassured that the things that they say, the coach isn't going to take as, oh, that's it, you've said it, so that those are the things for you. It's kind of just saying the thoughts out loud and testing, is that what I think or feel, or is that what I believe? So having that lightness about it is really important. Whilst this is deep, um, often emotional work, it also can be light. So thinking about how you can bring that lightness into the work is important too.
Mm. And you might have listeners that think, oh, I don't know if I want to go that deep with clients. And like, yes, it's deep and yes, it's emotional, but often it's also not.
Mm.
Many learners are coming to coaching because they are, sort of ambitious, high achievers, curious, like wanting to grow, wanting to develop. But, you wouldn't come to coaching if you weren't looking to grow and develop. And so usually when some people discover something that's holding them back, it's with like, yay,
Mm.
like, oh my gosh, like I just didn't know that was there. And now that I
Mm.
do, I can actually do something
Mm.
about it.
Mm.
And sometimes beliefs are really silly, like they sound really silly. I've worked with clients before where what they've come to light is like, oh, I'm stupid. And they know that that's not true, so that's the belief that's been holding them back all this time. But when they unearth it, they're like, that's not real. Like they may have believed that once upon a time, but because it's just been stored there and it's not been re-examined and it's in the unconscious mind, when you sort of make contact with it, it's almost like it dissolves.
Mm.
It dissolves because it's obvious that it's not real. And so, belief work can be deep, can be emotional, but can be incredibly liberating. And it can be exciting and it can be joyful. So I don't think it's something to have reservation about as a coach. You do need to be trained. You wouldn't go and do this work if you don't have credible coaching training behind you, because you can get into areas where you come up against trauma. You need to know how to keep your clients safe, how to keep yourself safe, how to coach within your area of competence. That's what coaching training is for. But it's not something to shy away from. And sorry, Joe, one of the reasons why in belief work is so important, if you take the example of I'm not very good at delegating, if you don't do belief work, the next obvious place would be like, let's look at 101 strategies that are going to help you to get better at delegating. If that client still holds the belief, they're probably not going to do those 101 strategies for delegating. And the way I think about my coaching and my clients is, well, you can Google 101 strategies for delegating more effectively. How come this client hasn't been able to do that yet? And that is going to tell me it's probably not about a thing to do, unless there are other things going on. And then you can help them with those other things as well.
And beliefs work is connected to so many other things in coaching. So beliefs work is connected to the work we do around values. So values work is around helping the client to identify what are the things that they must have in their life in order to feel content, live their best life. So it's very much connected to well-being, to resilience. And so every value that a client identifies will have a number of beliefs attached to it or around it, if you like. And so it's important to do the beliefs work alongside the values work so that the client can really understand how they can honor those values and anything that might get in the way for them. It's also can be very much connected to strengths work. So in beliefs work, we're also identifying what are the beliefs that have enabled you to do this well so far. Like, what is it that's got you here, and how can those beliefs, how can you use those beliefs to really help you get to the next phase? Because often, we just do things, like we get on and we do stuff. And we were talking about how beliefs are unconscious. So actually being able to have a space where you can pause and examine, like, what are the beliefs I have about myself that are helping me, that are supporting me, and that I can continue to use and draw on for this next goal that I've got. Stepping out of this, well, I did well with that, because like the discounting that so many of us do naturally in life, being humble about it. So as a coach, make sure that you're also exploring the empowering beliefs that a client has and helping them to identify those as part of their toolkit in terms of achieving their next goal in life.
I think another really important point around how to coach beliefs is to be sure to coach beliefs that are in the context of the client's goal. So
Mm-hmm.
lots of things can come up when you're coaching. Sometimes it is a very privileged relationship to have as a coach, being with a coachee, and coachees may share all kinds of things as you're meandering through conversations around their goal. Just because a belief is coming up, it doesn't mean the client wants to do something about it. It doesn't mean that it is necessarily impacting their goals. So context is really important. And so where you're starting to observe beliefs, it's about being able to share those with your coachee and become curious around, I hear that this is happening for you. I'm wondering if there's a belief there which is influencing you being able to achieve your goal. It gives the client a chance to decide whether that is in or out of scope. Some clients might say, yeah, I know that's there and I know where it comes from. And actually, I'm not interested in this coming into the coaching space. I really want this coaching to be about this. Brilliant. Really, really clear. Or the coachee might say, oh, that's new. Hadn't really thought about that before. Can we have a bit of time to be able to work out if it is actually affecting my goal or not? So context and contracting are essential for this work.
Another way that you can coach with beliefs is exploring what the positive intent is of the belief, whether it's a positive belief or it's experienced as a limiting belief. And probably important to say here as well that empowering beliefs can sometimes limit you as well. So, and vice versa. But if we just focus in on that question of what is the positive intent, it's kind of related to the reason that to the point in time at which the belief was created. So, what is it that it's trying to get for you? Because that is often the key to releasing it. So, when we get hooked, what we call like hook, these beliefs get hooked on, is often for a protection strategy. So it's often related to safety. So if we can help our clients to understand what's the purpose of that belief, what does it give you or get for you that is positive, despite the fact that it may limit you in a number of ways. Once the client has been able to identify that, then you can do some work around and what would be a more empowering belief that may be able to give you that same outcome, but a different experience of having that. So there are many, many questions that you can use to explore beliefs, and that's what you get when you do coaching training. But there are a couple of examples there that you can use.
Absolutely. And so we've mentioned in this podcast already, belief work is something that you would do when you do have training behind you. We wouldn't recommend that you work with somebody on helping them to identify, challenge, or change their beliefs. And if it's something that you're really interested in, and maybe you've had experiences of your own where beliefs have been fundamental to you, or you're curious around, actually, I don't know what my beliefs are, and I don't know how that influences us. The great thing about a coaching training program is it's personally transformational as well as professionally transformational. So hopefully you all know, if you're listening to this, we are coaching training providers. We work with In Good Company. It's the company that we founded. We would welcome you to come and explore our courses. And you can do our quiz at mycoachingcourse.com, which will help you to explore which coaching course is right for you.
And I think it's really important to note that not all coaching courses will include beliefs work. So if that feels like a really important area for you, you will be looking at doing a bit more of an advanced course. So in the context of ILM coaching qualifications, you're probably looking at a level 5 or a level 7 coaching qualification. So that might help to get you started as you start searching for the course that's right for you.